All right, diving in today, we're tackling building wealth, a deep dive you all specifically requested.
Should be interesting.
A couple things jumped out at me right away.
Oh, yeah.
First off, this guy buys his first rental property at 19 for only $8,000.
Wow.
Right after the '08 crash, too. Wild.
Timing is everything, I guess.
Then he drops this claim that the government, get this, profits from keeping people financially clueless.
That's a bold statement.
And, to top it off, he links student loans to the U.S. government's balance sheet. Unexpected, right?
Definitely piqued my curiosity.
We've got our financial strategy expert here to help us unpack it all.
Happy to be here. Jaspreet throws down the gauntlet, for sure. Challenging conventional wisdom.
No kidding.
Oh.
Okay, so right out the gate, Jaspreet says we've been straight up lied to about the path to wealth. He's taking aim at that whole school, job, climb the ladder model.
It's a sentiment you hear more and more, particularly from younger folks. That old playbook, working hard, getting promotions, solely building wealth through salary, it's being questioned.
Different economic landscape these days, for sure. He's all about aiming for equity instead. So break it down for us. What exactly does that mean? Why is it so different from just raking in a bigger salary?
See, with a salary, you're basically trading hours for dollars. You're limited, right, by how much time you can actually put in.
Makes sense.
Equity. That's owning a piece of something that's generating value, a company, real estate, whatever. You benefit from its growth, the profits, even when you're not actively working on it.
Okay, so beyond just your paycheck, you're sharing in the success of whatever you own. How do people typically get equity, stock options at a startup, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Stock options, investing in property that appreciates, or even starting your own business, owning it outright. It's a shift from employee to owner. Even a small stake at the beginning can be huge.
It's like planting a seed, right? It grows into this tree, bears fruit. You could pick the fruit each year, salary, or own the tree itself. Benefit as it grows, equity.
Love that analogy. Jaspreet also points out that lots of big companies, because of this thing called fiduciary duty, they're legally obligated to prioritize shareholders. Those are the owners, sometimes at the expense of employees.
That's a distinction worth noting.
Yeah.
Makes you rethink that whole climb the corporate ladder idea. If the company's ultimate obligation is to the shareholders, not the workers, whose interests are really being served. Food for thought.
For sure.
Let's shift gears. Dive into Jaspreet's story. He was on the doctor track in college. Then, boom, he realizes none of the Forbes richest folks actually took that path.
What do you think it was about that realization that flipped a switch for him?
He started questioning everything he'd been taught about success. The possibility of different paths to wealth, ones society doesn't usually emphasize. It opened up for him. And he'd already dipped his toes into entrepreneurship. Started an event planning business at 17, did really well. Then, this is mind-blowing, he snags his first rental property at 19 for $8,000. I'm floored.
Remember, this was post-2008. The real estate market was a totally different beast. Prices had tanked. Anyone willing to take a calculated risk could find some serious opportunities.
So he was able to capitalize on the downturn. Savvy for a 19-year-old, no doubt. Imagine the conversations with his parents about ditching the doctor route, especially with those cultural expectations.
Oh, absolutely. Cultural expectations, especially in immigrant families, they run deep. It usually comes from a good place, wanting the best for their kids, but it takes guts to break from that, forge your own path, especially so young.
He did mention that a bunch of his friends who went the doctor route, they're now dealing with high taxes, mountains of student loan debt. He saw a different kind of financial burden cropping up, even in these supposedly high-paying fields.
It challenges the assumption that high income automatically equals lasting wealth. A lot of high earners get caught in this lifestyle inflation trap. Expenses rise with income. They might look successful, but aren't building long-term financial security.
This is where things get super interesting. Jaspreet argues that certain players actually gain from keeping folks financially illiterate. He called out banks and governments specifically. Bold claim, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
It's definitely provocative, but let's think about it. Banks, they make money off consumer debt. Credit card reliance, loans with high interest rates, that's their bread and butter.
He used the example of how banks use our savings to lend money at much higher rates, essentially profiting off our money while we get peanuts in return.
Exactly. The less people grasp about how interest works, the easier it is for them to get stuck in those debt cycles that ultimately benefit the banks.
And what about the government's role in all this? I know he brings up student loans.
He suggests governments, reliant on tax revenue, benefit from this employee-consumer cycle. Earn income, pay taxes, spend money. It's a system that keeps the government coffers full. Student loans are a prime example. They encourage borrowing for education, which then generates revenue for them, even while individuals are saddled with debt. Conflicting messages, for sure.
Really makes you think about the incentives at play. Are these systems truly designed to help people thrive financially, or are they set up to benefit those in control?
A question worth pondering. And it underscores why financial literacy is so crucial. Understanding how these systems operate lets you make informed choices.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. Okay, let's move on to a topic that always sparks debate. Jaspreet's take on tax strategies for higher earners. Important to make it clear up front, we're talking legal tax avoidance, not illegal tax evasion.
Huge difference, yeah. Avoidance is about legally minimizing your tax burden. Evasion, that's crossing the line, and we don't endorse that.
Right, we're all about staying on the right side of the law.
Always.
So Jaspreet uses this example of deducting business expenses, like a trip you took to San Diego. Then there's Elon Musk using stock options and loans to minimize his taxes. He even mentions this specific tax deduction for heavy vehicles that his accountant tipped him off on. These are all legal maneuvers, right?
Absolutely. They all fall under legal tax optimization. The key takeaway is this. The tax code is a maze. Understanding it gives you an edge. Having pros on your side, tax advisors, accountants, that can be invaluable.
It's about knowing the rules of the game, playing it strategically without breaking any. Fascinating to see how that deeper understanding of tax laws can make such a difference.
It can, yeah.
Now, before we get to Jaspreet's 5 money lessons, I think this is a good spot to pause and take a breather. We'll be back in a jiffy to keep this deep dive going. All right, back again, continuing our deep dive into Jaspreet Singh's approach to building wealth. Before the break, we were talking about, how understanding the rules, especially tax laws, can be a game changer.
Absolutely. Being proactive, informed, not just reacting. That's key.
So let's get into those 5 money lessons Jaspreet shared. He's all about passing this knowledge on, especially to younger folks.
Yeah, he lays out some really solid fundamentals.
First one, understand what money really is. He talks about fiat currency and how its value, can go up and down. A bit tricky for some to wrap their heads around. What's the key takeaway here for our listeners?
What Jaspreet's getting at is that our money nowadays, it's not backed by gold or anything tangible. It's based on trust in the government. And that trust, well, it can waver, when you see things like inflation, currencies losing value.
Right, so it's not about stashing piles of cash under your mattress. It's about understanding how money works in the big picture, the forces that impact its value.
Exactly. Money's a tool. You use it to build wealth, achieve your goals, not something to be scared of or obsess over.
His second lesson, work for equity, not just a paycheck. That really resonated with me. Moving beyond trading time for money, owning assets that generate income, appreciate in value.
It's a fundamental shift how you view wealth creation. Instead of relying on a job for income, you're building assets that work for you, even while you sleep, so to speak.
Like you're building a system that generates wealth even when you're not actively putting in the hours. Long game.
Exactly. Takes patience, but the potential payoff is huge.
Third lesson, think bigger. He's talking about challenging those limiting beliefs, not letting your background or current situation define your financial potential.
Mindset stuff, right?
Absolutely. If you don't believe you can succeed financially, you're less likely to take risks, put in the effort. It's about expanding your vision.
Don't let your current circumstances dictate your future. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, master good debt, eliminate bad debt. What are some real-world examples our listeners can, actually apply to their lives? Think about financing a car. That's a classic example of bad debt. The car itself loses value over time. You're paying interest on something that's depreciating. Investing in a rental property that generates positive cash flow, that can be considered good debt. It's an asset that's appreciating, potentially building wealth.
He didn't mince words about those buy now, pay later schemes either. They seem convenient, but can be a slippery slope into debt.
High interest rates, hidden fees, yeah. It's crucial to understand the true cost, whether it aligns with your long-term goals.
And his last lesson, be willing to make mistakes. That's so important. He tells this story about a disastrous real estate deal. Taught him a ton in hindsight. Nobody gets it perfect every time, especially with something as complex as building wealth.
We all get caught up in the fear of failure, but mistakes happen. It's about learning from them. What went wrong? Adjust and keep moving forward.
I love how he frames failure as part of the process. Takes the pressure off. Okay, let's get tactical. How does he actually put all this into action? His personal investment strategy, he hits 5 areas: real estate, stocks, startups, cryptocurrency, and gold. And he's got these 2 approaches, passive and active.
His passive approach, it's about consistency, automation. He sets up automatic investments, things like ETFs for broad stock market exposure, physical gold as a store of value, and Bitcoin, buying a little every day, regardless of the price.
That set it and forget it method can be really powerful. Build wealth steadily over time without getting caught up in the market's emotional roller coaster.
Removes the temptation to time the market or make rash decisions based on short-term ups and downs.
And then there's his active approach, more about taking calculated risks, spotting opportunities.
Real estate, he's looking for properties that generate consistent cash flow. Stocks, he analyzes companies' financials to find undervalued opportunities. And he's a big believer in startups, his own and those founded by other entrepreneurs he trusts.
Sounds like he strikes this balance between steady, automated growth with the passive approach, then more targeted strategic investments with the active side.
It's a well-rounded strategy. Diversification, informed decision-making, and it shows how important it is to understand your own risk tolerance, your financial goals.
You know, one of the most impactful parts of the interview for me was when he talked about mindset. He told a story about a couple who wanted him to lower his real estate commission, and it highlighted this difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. What stuck out to you?
Oh, yeah, that couple. Scarcity mindset, laser focused on getting the best deal, squeezing that commission. They were coming from a place of fear, lack, trying to grab a bigger slice of limited pie. Jaspreet, he demonstrated an abundance mindset, willing to walk away from a deal that didn't align with his values. He believes there are always more opportunities out there.
It's about moving from a win-lose to a win-win. Enough abundance to go around, and working together often leads to better results than, that cutthroat competition.
Exactly. And that abundance mindset has clearly worked for him, built successful businesses, created a thriving community, keeps growing his wealth, all while operating with integrity, generosity.
Inspiring to see someone achieve financial success without compromising their values. Before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to touch on a concept Jaspreet mentioned that I think is super important.
Yeah.
The quadruped triangle. He emphasizes that true success, fulfillment, it's not just about money.
It's about finding balance across all these areas: physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and financial health.
He made this great analogy like putting good icing on a crappy cake.
Yeah.
You got to build a solid foundation first, then the icing, that financial success, makes it even sweeter.
Great visual. Financial health is essential for well-being, but it's most meaningful when it supports a life that's fulfilling in all these other ways.
So, in baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
provide a clear path, kind of like a financial GPS, to get out of debt and build wealth.
Okay, so let's unpack these baby steps one by one and see what they're all about.
Yeah.
First up is baby step 1,
Right.
building a $1,000 starter emergency fund. What's the big idea here?
So this is about creating some momentum and tackling the psychological hurdle of changing your financial habits.
Okay.
Ramsey really emphasizes the speed of saving this initial $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
He suggests maybe doing a garage sale or even a temporary side hustle if necessary.
That makes sense, but why not just aim for the full emergency fund right away?
Well, it's about building confidence.
Yeah.
That quick win shows you that change is possible.
Yeah.
It's like a primer for your motivation, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed by debt.
So it's like a proof of concept for your finances.
Exactly.
Have you ever had that I need to get serious about money moment?
Oh, yeah.
This step seems designed to capitalize on that feeling.
Exactly. And that momentum leads right into baby step 2.
Okay.
The debt snowball.
Okay.
Ramsey uses this really vivid analogy of a gazelle escaping a cheetah
Oh, yeah.
to kind of highlight that urgency you need to tackle debt.
Okay. I've heard about the debt snowball, but isn't it better to pay down higher interest debt first?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that save you more money in the long run?
Mathematically, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
But Ramsey's focus with the debt snowball is behavior modification.
Okay.
It involves listing out all your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rates,
Right.
and attacking the smallest one with everything you've got. Once that's gone, you roll that payment amount into the next smallest debt. The idea is that by seeing those small wins early on,
Hmm.
it creates a psychological boost that keeps you motivated.
I can see how that would be encouraging, especially if you're feeling buried under a mountain of debt.
Yeah.
But are there any downsides to ignoring interest rates in this way?
There can be. If you have a very high-interest loan, you might end up paying more in the long run.
Okay.
By focusing on smaller debts first.
Mm-hmm.
Some financial experts recommend something called the avalanche method,
Okay.
where you prioritize the high-interest debts first,
Right.
but it can take longer to see those initial wins.
So it's a trade-off between psychological motivation and mathematical optimization.
Right.
It seems like choosing the right method would depend on your personality and your specific financial situation.
Exactly.
What's the next step after you've tackled that debt snowball?
So baby step 3 is all about building a fully funded emergency fund.
Okay.
This time you're aiming for 3 to 6 months of living expenses. It's your safety net, your buffer against
Right.
life's unexpected events.
Ramsey makes a clear distinction between insurance and investment, right?
Yep.
He says the emergency fund is insurance for your finances, not a vehicle for making money.
That's a great point. It's about having that peace of mind, knowing you can handle a financial curveball without going further into debt or tapping into investments that are meant for the long term. Ramsey even links this to relationships,
Okay.
talking about how financial stress can really strain those bonds.
That's really interesting. Could you elaborate on that idea? I'm curious to hear more about how financial security relates to relationships.
Yeah, so Ramsey humorously refers to this thing called the security gland that he says is particularly active in women.
Okay.
And he says financial stability, creates a sense of security, reduces stress, which can lead to a happier and healthier relationship.
All right.
And he sees the emergency fund as a key part of that equation.
I can definitely see how having that financial cushion could reduce arguments and anxieties in a relationship. It makes sense that financial stability would contribute to overall well-being, both individually and as a couple.
For sure.
So you've paid off your debt, you have a healthy emergency fund.
Right.
What's next on this journey to financial freedom?
Now it's time to shift gears and focus on building long-term wealth. Baby step 4 is all about investing 15% of your income for retirement.
Okay.
And Ramsey really emphasizes the power of compound interest. That's where your money really starts working for you.
That's where things can get a bit complicated, though, right? What are some of the different investment vehicles he recommends?
So Ramsey's a big advocate for Roth IRAs and 401ks.
Okay.
Both are retirement accounts with tax advantages, but they differ in how they're funded and taxed.
Okay.
With a Roth IRA, you contribute after-tax dollars, so your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
Gotcha.
A 401k is often employer-sponsored, and contributions are typically made pre-tax, so you'll pay taxes on withdrawals in retirement.
I see. So it sounds like choosing between those options would depend on your individual circumstances and tax situation.
Exactly. Ramsey also stresses the importance of starting early, regardless of which account you choose.
Right.
He has this very compelling story about two brothers, Ben and Arthur,
Oh, right.
to illustrate the concept of compound interest.
Ben starts investing early with smaller contributions while Arthur waits and tries to catch up later with larger contributions. But in the end,
Right.
Ben comes out way ahead.
Exactly. The story highlights the power of time and consistent investing. Even small amounts invested consistently over a long period
Right.
can grow significantly thanks to the magic of compound interest.
That's a powerful reminder that even if we can't invest large sums right now, starting early, even with a small amount can make a huge difference down the road.
Absolutely.
It seems like Ramsey is all about building a solid foundation first with debt reduction and emergency savings before moving on to long-term investing. So what's the next baby step after we've started building our retirement nest egg?
So that would be baby step 5, college funding. This one often sparks interesting discussions as it kind of challenges conventional wisdom. Ramsey's stance is that saving for your children's college comes after you've tackled your own debt
Right.
and built a solid financial foundation.
That's a good point. It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first before helping others.
Exactly.
But isn't education important?
Yeah.
How does he reconcile that with this approach?
He's not against college. He's against going into debt for it. He calls out what he calls the worship at the altar of the diploma mentality
Right.
and urges listeners to really assess the value and the cost of higher education. He encourages exploring alternatives like community college or trade schools,
Okay.
emphasizing that college is a means to an end, not an end in itself.
So it's about being strategic and prioritizing financial health both for yourself and your children. That seems especially relevant with the rising cost of college these days.
Yeah.
What tools does he suggest for college savings?
He recommends ESAs or educational savings accounts.
Okay.
Think of them like a Roth IRA, but for college. Contributions go tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified education expenses are also tax-free.
Okay, but what exactly is a Roth IRA? Can you explain that a bit more for our listeners who may not be familiar with those terms?
Sure, a Roth IRA is a type of individual retirement account.
Okay.
The key feature is that you contribute after-tax dollars, meaning you pay taxes on your contributions up front, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
Okay.
It's like planting a seed that grows into a tax-sheltered tree.
Okay.
You pay taxes on the seed, but the fruit it bears later is yours to enjoy tax-free.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
So with an ESA, you're essentially doing the same thing, but for college expenses instead of retirement.
exactly.
It seems like Ramsey emphasizes being informed and making calculated decisions rather than just blindly following the traditional path. What's the next step on this financial freedom ladder?
We're getting close to the top.
Yeah.
Baby step 6 is a big one. Paying off your home mortgage. It really embodies Ramsey's core message of financial freedom. He encourages making accelerated payments to become completely debt-free, arguing that owning your home outright frees up a significant chunk of your income.
I can see how that would be liberating. But what about the tax benefits of having a mortgage? Don't you get to deduct mortgage interest on your taxes?
So Ramsey has some interesting thoughts on that.
Yeah.
He actually debunks some common myths
Okay.
about mortgages and tax deductions. And he uses this great story about a farmer he knows
Oh, wow.
to illustrate the true cost of staying in debt for a tax break.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about that farmer and his wisdom.
So Ramsey was considering buying a bigger house and keeping his old one as a rental property.
Okay.
He thought the tax benefits would make it a really smart financial move. But this farmer he knew pointed out that he was essentially paying the bank to have the privilege of paying taxes.
Interesting.
Yeah. The farmer's point was that while tax deductions can be helpful,
Right.
they shouldn't be the driving force behind your financial decisions.
That's a really insightful perspective. It seems like Ramsey is saying that it's better to be debt-free and have full control over your income than to be tied to debt,
Exactly.
even if there are some tax benefits.
Right.
What other tips does he offer for tackling the mortgage?
Well, he really emphasizes understanding your mortgage terms.
Okay.
Things like the interest rates and prepayment penalties. He also cautions against risky loans and encourages people to make informed decisions based on their long-term goals.
Right.
He even suggests maybe exploring different mortgage options like shorter-term mortgages to accelerate that payoff process.
So it's about taking a proactive approach and exploring different strategies to achieve your goal of becoming mortgage-free.
Absolutely.
It sounds like Ramsey is a big proponent of having full ownership and control over your assets. All right, we've climbed the mountain and paid off all our debt. We've reached the summit. Baby step 7.
Okay.
What does financial freedom look like in this final stage?
It's about building wealth and giving back.
I love that.
Yeah, this step focuses on enjoying the fruits of your labor, continuing to invest for the future, and being generous with your resources. Ramsey really emphasizes having fun with your money, pursuing your passions,
Right.
and making a difference in the world.
I love that. It's not just about hoarding wealth. It's about using your resources to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. Does he have any specific advice on how to approach this stage?
Well, he encourages continued investing to grow your wealth, but he also emphasizes the importance of generosity. He shares some really inspiring quotes from Winston Churchill and Andrew Carnegie
Oh, wow.
about the true meaning and responsibility of wealth. It's not just about accumulating money,
Right.
but about leaving a positive legacy.
I really appreciate that perspective. It seems like Ramsey's philosophy goes beyond just personal finance.
Definitely.
He's really talking about a holistic approach to life where financial freedom is a tool for achieving greater purpose and happiness. Does he offer any practical tips on how to live generously and give back?
He talks about finding causes you're passionate about and supporting them financially,
Okay.
whether that's through charitable donations, volunteering your time, or using your skills and talents to make a difference.
Right.
It's about aligning your giving with your values and passions.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's about finding that sweet spot where your financial resources and your passions intersect
Yeah,
so you can make a meaningful impact. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already.
we have.
From getting out of debt to investing for the future to living a life of purpose and generosity. Ramsey's 7 baby steps offer a comprehensive roadmap for achieving financial freedom. It's inspiring to see how he blends practical advice with motivational stories and a dose of humor to make financial concepts accessible and engaging. I'm already feeling that gazelle intensity building up. What about you?
I think what's most compelling about Ramsey's approach is how he addresses both the practical and the philosophical aspects of money.
Yeah.
He doesn't just focus on the numbers.
Right.
He encourages a shift in mindset, a reevaluation of our relationship with money, and a focus on aligning our financial decisions with our values and goals.
He's like a financial coach cheering you on, urging you to break free from the chains of debt and run towards a life of financial freedom and abundance.
Exactly.
I especially appreciate how he weaves in stories and humor to make the information relatable and memorable.
Yeah, he has a knack for connecting with people and motivating them to take action.
Right.
His energy is contagious, and his message resonates with those who are looking for a clear path to financial success. But as we mentioned, some of his advice might not be for everyone.
Right.
It's important to do your own research. Consider your individual circumstances and find what works best for you.
Absolutely. Financial decisions are personal, and what works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding the right approach that aligns with your goals and values.
Exactly. He's definitely not afraid to challenge conventional thinking and encourages people to kind of take control of their financial destinies.
That seems to be a recurring theme throughout his 7 baby steps. So we've tackled debt, built an emergency fund, started investing for retirement, and figured out a plan for college. What's next on the agenda?
Now we come to baby step 6, which is all about paying off your home mortgage.
That's a big one. I can imagine a lot of people feel overwhelmed by that prospect.
It can definitely feel daunting, but Ramsey emphasizes that owning your home outright is a major step towards financial freedom. He encourages accelerated payments to become completely debt-free, arguing that this frees up a significant chunk of your income to pursue other goals.
But isn't there some strategic value in holding on to a mortgage for tax purposes?
So Ramsey addresses that head-on.
Okay.
He debunks some of the common myths surrounding mortgages and tax deductions.
Okay.
And he uses this really insightful story about a farmer he knows to illustrate the true costs of staying in debt for a tax break.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What was this farmer's wisdom?
So Ramsey was considering buying a larger house and keeping his old one as a rental property. He thought the tax benefits would make it a really savvy financial move. But this farmer he knew pointed out that he was essentially paying the bank interest just to have the privilege of paying taxes.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So while tax deductions can be helpful, it sounds like Ramsey is saying they shouldn't be the sole driving force behind your financial decision.
Exactly. He believes that having full control over your income and being debt-free is ultimately more beneficial than holding on to debt for a potential tax advantage.
It makes you think about the bigger picture and prioritize long-term financial freedom over short-term gains. Are there any other insights he offers about mortgages?
He stresses the importance of understanding your mortgage terms,
Okay.
particularly things like interest rates and prepayment penalties.
Mm.
He also cautions against taking on risky loans and encourages people to really assess their financial goals before making big decisions.
It's all about being informed and making choices that align with your long-term vision. So you've diligently climbed a financial ladder, tackled your debt, built your savings, invested wisely, and now you've reached the summit. Baby step 7. What does this final stage of financial freedom entail?
This step is about building wealth and giving back. It's about enjoying the fruits of your labor, continuing to invest for the future, and using your resources to make a positive impact on the world.
I love that idea. It's not just about accumulating wealth for yourself, but about using it to make a difference. What specific guidance does Ramsey offer for this stage?
He encourages people to find causes they're passionate about and to support them financially, whether it's through charitable donations, volunteering their time, or using their skills and talents to make a contribution.
So it's about aligning your giving with your personal values and finding ways to make a meaningful impact on the world. It seems like Ramsey is advocating for a more holistic approach to financial success, one that encompasses not just financial well-being, but also personal fulfillment and a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. He believes that true wealth goes beyond just money. It's about living a life of abundance in all areas, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and in terms of giving back to others.
He even talks about the importance of having fun with your money. I think that's an often overlooked aspect of personal finance.
He encourages people to enjoy the fruits of their labor, whether it's travel hobbies or experiences. He wants people to use their financial freedom to live a richer and more fulfilling life.
It's a refreshing perspective. It's not just about scrimping and saving every penny. It's about striking a balance between financial responsibility and enjoying the present moment. His philosophy seems to resonate with a lot of people. What do you think is the key to his appeal?
I think it's his combination of practicality and motivation. He provides concrete steps and strategies, but he also delivers them with energy, humor, and a healthy dose of tough love.
Yeah.
He's like a financial cheerleader, pushing people to break free from debt and achieve their financial goals.
He's not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom and encourages people to take control of their financial destinies. He's definitely got a unique style that sets him apart.
He's also very relatable. He shares personal anecdotes about his own financial struggles and triumphs, which makes his advice feel more authentic and accessible.
I can see how that would resonate with people. It makes him seem more human and less like a financial guru preaching from an ivory tower.
Exactly. He connects with people on an emotional level, and that's a powerful thing. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the stories behind them.
That's a great point. He uses storytelling to make complex financial concepts more understandable and engaging.
He's a master at simplifying things without dumbing them down. He uses analogies, humor, and real-life examples to make his points stick.
And he's not afraid to be bold and controversial. He definitely has strong opinions, and he's not afraid to share them.
That's part of his appeal. He's not just telling people what they want to hear. He's challenging them to think differently about money and make real changes in their lives.
It's a refreshing change from the often dry and impersonal world of personal finance.
He injects personality and passion into the conversation, which makes it more engaging and memorable for the listener.
It's like having a conversation with a friend who's really passionate about helping you succeed.
He's definitely got a knack for connecting with people and making them feel empowered to take control of their financial lives.
So we've walked through all 7 baby steps, and I have to say I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
It's amazing to see how such a simple framework can have such a profound impact on people's lives. It's a testament to the power of clear goals, consistent action, and a positive mindset.
It's like a financial roadmap that guides you step by step towards a destination of financial freedom and abundance.
And it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about learning, growing, and developing a healthy relationship with money along the way.
That's a great point. It's about developing financial literacy and empowering yourself to make informed decisions that align with your values and goals.
It's about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance and realizing that financial success is achievable for anyone who's willing to put in the effort.
It's about taking control of your finances instead of letting your finances control you.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, making conscious choices, and building a life of financial security and freedom.
We've covered a lot of ground today, and I'm sure our listener is eager to hear some final thoughts and takeaways. What are some key insights that we can leave them with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that financial freedom is not a pipe dream. It's achievable for anyone who's willing to follow a plan, make sacrifices, and stay committed to their goals.
Ramsey's 7 baby steps provide a clear roadmap for achieving that freedom. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a step-by-step process that requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to change your habits.
Yeah, it's about taking control of your financial life and making choices that align with your long-term vision.
And it's about remembering that money is a tool that can be used to create a life of abundance, generosity, and purpose.
Right. Ramsey's approach goes beyond just personal finance. He encourages people to live a life of intention, to pursue their passions, and to make a positive impact on the world.
It's about realizing that financial success is not just about the numbers, it's about the life you build with those numbers.
It's inspiring to see how he connects financial well-being with overall life satisfaction.
He really emphasizes that money is a tool to build the life you want, not the end goal in itself.
Right.
We've gone through all these baby steps, and I'm curious what stood out to you the most.
For me, it's the emphasis on behavior change. I think that's where Ramsey really shines.
Yeah.
He understands that personal finance is as much about psychology as it is about math.
Right. It's not just about knowing what to do, but actually doing it consistently.
Exactly. It gives you those practical tips and strategies, but also addresses the emotional and mental hurdles that often hold people back.
He provides that extra push that some people need to break free from old patterns and embrace a new way of thinking about money.
Right. And he does it with a lot of humor and real-life stories, which makes the information more digestible and relatable.
It's not just a lecture on finance. It's a conversation with a friend who's been there and wants to help you succeed. And that brings us to another key takeaway, the importance of finding what works for you.
Absolutely. While Ramsey's 7 baby steps offer a really solid framework, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's crucial to do your own research, consider your unique circumstances, and tailor the plan to your specific needs and goals.
Maybe the debt snowball works for you, or perhaps the avalanche method makes more sense. It's about finding the right tools for your financial toolbox.
Yeah, and remember, personal finance is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous learning, adapting, and making adjustments along the way.
Life throws curveballs, and your financial plan needs to be flexible enough to adapt to those changes.
For sure. It's about staying informed, seeking guidance when needed, and being open to new strategies and approaches.
This has been a really insightful deep dive into Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling ready to tackle my own finances with renewed energy and purpose.
It's been a fascinating exploration of his philosophy, and I hope it's given our listeners some valuable insights to apply to their own financial journey.
So as you continue on your path to financial freedom, remember this. If you could achieve complete financial freedom, what would you do with your time and resources? What dreams would you pursue? What impact would you make on the world? Let those questions guide your decisions and inspire you to keep moving forward. Until next time, keep diving deep.